So in this chapter, we will study a little bit about explosives, and in the next unit, we'll study like forensic examination of explosives. So we'll start off by understanding explosives in this unit and how they work, how they're classified, what are the different important explosives that we need to know, how to understand an explosion and how it works, all that. So we've all heard the term explosives. We may not have defined it in our lifetimes, but then we've all heard of explosives. So explosives, we commonly call them as bombs. We know of some bombs also. They are basically substances that can undergo a rapid oxidation reaction with the production of large quantities of gases. They need to fulfill these two conditions. One, they must be able to undergo a rapid oxidation reaction. That is a reaction where they can oxidize themselves quickly. It has to happen quickly. It can't happen very slowly. And during this rapid oxidation, there also has to be tremendous amount of gases that the compound, that explosive substance, needs to produce, and it has to produce a large amount of gases. So due to this sudden buildup of gases, there's going to be pressure and it's going to explode. So this is the condition that an explosive substance has to fulfill. And the speed at which the explosive substance decomposes and produces this gases determines whether it's going to be a high explosive or a low explosive. So a high explosive will quickly rapidly oxidize and produce larger amount of gases. A low explosive will not be so rapid and will not produce that much amount of gases. So we know low explosives, and we've used them also. We call them firecrackers, or we also use them in fireworks, in pyrotechnics. So they also are basically, in idea or in concept, they are actually explosives, and they are low explosives for that matter. And they can explode in a lesser kind of a seriousness than a high explosive, which are your bombs that we talk about. Usual composition of these low explosives, they are potassium or sodium salts of nitrates. That is potassium nitrate, sodium nitrate commonly. Charcoal and sulfur also gets mixed. This is your gunpowder, which we usually have as low explosive. High explosives usually used as military grade explosives. They are made to cause severe damage, and they can easily explode with a little bit of heat, little bit of shock, little bit of friction. They can explode. Examples are TNT, PET, and RDX. We'll be studying more of them in our chapters. So this decomposition, which we spoke about, which causes this oxidation and buildup of gases and all that, that decomposition process is called as deflagration in low explosives, whereas in high explosives it's called as detonation. Detonation, it actually denotes the supersonic shock wave that happens inside that explosive container when it starts to decompose or when it starts to catch fire. One simple picture of an explosive just to help you understand. So there is a cell phone here, like you can see some electrical working, wires and all that, and then there is a steel pipe. So it's a pipe bomb. Explosive is filled into these two pipes, metal pipes, and it's also connected to a mobile phone, possibly to initiate this bomb from somewhere else also, remote bomb. So there is a initiating device here, which is your mobile phone and all this electrical wiring. There is a container, which is your pipe, metal pipe, and there is a explosive substance which has been filled in. So let's call it as a filler. Okay, so a initiating device, it's usually called a fuse, the container, and then a filler, usual parts of a common explosive. We see more of crude bombs, that is bombs which are made at home with no much training. People make bombs these days with little bit of chemicals that they encounter or get access to. Not too much sophisticated bombs. They can blow up very uncontrollably. They're called as country bombs. There are military grade bombs also, which are made with more quality and more standardization. There are improvised explosive devices where they improvise a simple crude bomb to make it more dangerous, even by adding nails, for example, or glass pieces, for example, improvising it to make it more dangerous. So, what do we do? What is the forensic part of explosives? Why do we learn, and what are we going to try and identify in a explosive case? So what we do, it's called a explosive triangle. So what we think of is many people could have a motive to throw a bomb at someone or someplace. Few people would have the opportunity and the motive to do so, and very few people, or you know, very specific people would have all three: the motive, the opportunity, and also the means to do it. So we want to target this person, the person who has the means as well. So when a person has the means, that means he's got access to the explosive chemicals, the know-how of making an explosive, etc. So he is able to make that bomb and use that bomb. So we are going to find that person because he has the means. There are some ways, forensic ways, to understand who it could be. Legally, explosives are defined under the Indian Explosive Act 1884 as well as the Explosive Substance Act 1908. This is a more accepted definition where it's defined as any material for making any explosive substance. Also, any apparatus, machine, implement, or material used or intended to be used or adapted for causing or aiding in causing any explosion, or with any explosive substance, also any part of any such apparatus, machine, or implement. All this consolidate or constitutes your explosive as per the 1908 Act. I already told you design. So it contains a body that contains a filler which is inside, then also a fuse which we use to initiate the bomb. We know of firecrackers, so simple firecrackers work that way. There is a paper wad which controls your explosive. It has the filler inside, it has a fuse outside, and you can make it go off. Classification, this is how they are classified. We classify it based on heat, based on sensitivity, based on velocity, based on composition, based on use or abuse. Based on heat, we classify it as deflagrating or detonating explosives, primary, secondary, tertiary explosives based on sensitivity, based on velocity, low or high, based on composition, primary or physical form, based on use or abuse. We can have it as military explosive, terrorism explosives, or IEDs. The most common classification is this one based on velocity. We would be studying how we classify it as low and high, and what are the different attributes of low explosive and high explosives, and how we go about when we have a case where we are encountering either a low explosive or a high explosive.